Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this narration of the web series The Nature of Predators, taken from r/HFY. If you're new to the series, there is a playlist listed in the description. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 2. Memory transcription subject, Governor Tarver of the Venlil Republic. Date, standardized human time, July 12th, 2136. A shiver crept down my spine, and it wasn't only because of the winter air. The thought of standing in a close proximity to a predator made my skin crawl. But it was too late to turn back now. All I could do was watch with mute horror as the human ship powered down and a landing ramp unfurled. The primates marched onto Venlil soil, and I suppressed a whimper. This felt like a nightmare that I would wake up from at any moment. Noah and Sarah marveled at their surroundings with wide-eyed fascination. Their gaze lingered on the intricate mansion behind them, then shifted to the city silhouette in the distance. The way they physically rotated their head to look around was uncanny. The menacing eyes of a predator didn't quite offer the peripheral vision that we enjoyed. That much was clear. There was no way that they were appreciating the beauty of our architecture. An ominous thought crept into my mind. Were they only landing to scout an invasion? Noah's eyes landed on our diplomatic envoy, and he started towards us without further hesitation. There were a mere 3 individuals present, me, Cam, and my diplomatic advisor, Keln. I knew it was a pitiful showing, but it was next to impossible to persuade anyone to tag along. "Listen," I hissed. "We need to act normally, no fear, no emotion." Cam flicked his ears in disgust. "I can't believe you invited them here." "We're buying time for the Federation to arrive." "But how can you even look at them? You want to speak to those creatures for hours?" "Of course not. But the other option is another war with predators, and we've seen how well that's worked out with the Oxor. If there is a slight chance to avoid bloodshed, I'll take it, happily." "We should have blasted that ship out of the sky while we had the chance. If you expect me to welcome these humans with open arms, that's not going to happen." "You're not to antagonize them, are we clear?" I growled. Cam huffed, and I feared that was an answer of itself. There was no time to persuade him, though, as the 2 humans had closed within earshot. I prayed that the advisor would come to his senses and keep his thoughts to himself. We needed to put our best foot forward if we wanted to get rid of these beasts peacefully. Keeping up the appearance of strength was important, if only to discourage the humans from decimating our home. Trying to rile them up with a different story. That was nigh suicidal. Predators thrived on the assertion of dominance, so I doubted they'd turn down a blatant challenge. "Governor Tarver." Noah stopped a few paces away from our group and flashed his teeth. "It's lovely to meet you in person." My heart pounded, fear coursing through my veins like a dreadful cocktail. There was not a worse visual cue in the galaxy than flaunting one's fangs. The threat it communicated felt much more tangible in person. I swayed to my feet, trying to fight off the lightheadedness. A thud sounded beside me, which I realized was Cal hitting the pavement. My diplomatic advisor fainting was not a good look. I knew that. Even Cam had his ears pressed against his head, earlier blustered and forgotten. "Wonderful," I thought. "So much for behaving normally." Noah's eyes stretched wide, and his mistake seemed to dawn on him. He quickly covered his mouth with his hand. Sorry," the Predator captain muttered. I didn't mean to startle you. Are you okay?" There was no way to salvage the optics of this one. The human definitely realized that we were afraid of them at this point. I don't think my plan could have collapsed in a more disastrous manner. The initial idea of surrendering crept back into my mind. Whatever their ulterior motives were, there was nothing to deter them from taking what they pleased. The strange thing was, Noah seemed more distraught than amused. This species was slower to pounce on weakness than the Oxor. Perhaps there was still a chance to salvage the meeting, or explain away our behavior. I flicked my ears, trying to calm myself. "Yes, well, he'll be fine. This is just, a bit overwhelming. Aliens landing on your planet. That must come as a terrible shock." Sarah exhaled heavily, before scribbling something on a notepad. "They're handling this quite well, all things considered." "I can't imagine what this would be like without your translator," Noah said. "Please, forgive us. We're new to this whole first contact business." Cam knelt by Cal's side, trying to rouse him, giving that nurturing trait stemmed from compassion. That wasn't the sort of behavior to exhibit in front of predators either. I had to nip this conduct in the bud, or else the primates would think it was commonplace. That answered what I should do, but how could I leave a man to die in the cold? How could I chastise my military advisor for basic empathy? The level of cruelty was beyond my sensibilities. Noah stooped down beside the fallen diplomat and braced myself for the worst. Perhaps placing no value on sentient life, not even their own. The Oxel taught us that much. It was obvious the human thought that we would abandon Cal, rather than allow weakness to tarnish the gene pool. "How can I help?" were the only words that came out of his mouth. I gaped at the human in disbelief, certain that I'd misheard. Where were the derisive comments making light of Cal's condition? "You have helped enough," Cam spat. Noah lowered his head. "I'm sorry, it was an accident." "It's all right," I jumped in, before the quarrel could break out. "I apologize for my advisor's behavior. He's a bit, on edge." "I understand," the male human said, with a despondent sigh. "I fear I've ruined this whole thing." "Noah meant no harm." Sarah patted her companion on the back reassuringly. "Seeing an alien culture firsthand. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. You have no idea how excited we are. Clearly, that wasn't expressed in the best way." The human's behavior was growing more baffling by the minute. Everything in the Federation's database suggested that this was a base violent species. I thought that they would be able to turn their weapons against us fast enough. While their visual cues aligned with that assumption, their temperament seemed otherwise mellow. Why maintain this ruse? If they were probing for weakness, as I hypothesized, they had already seen enough to arrive at the conclusion on that front. I was beginning to think that I didn't understand their intentions at all. Perhaps these predators were capable of higher brain functions than we gave them credit for. "Can you help us carry Chelm inside?" I took a deep breath, waiting for my translator to catch up. "We'll give you a tour after that." The humans nodded and positioned themselves to shoulder the brunt of the weight. A faint hope stirred in my chest. They were in no rush to finish us off. That meant that we had time to wait for the cavalry after all. I knew the Federation's response would be harsh when they found predators traipsing about on Venlil homeworld. Their actions would be along the lines of Cam's suggestion: shoot first, ask questions later. The only reason this particular species hadn't been wiped out was we believed them to be extinct already. But the plans to obliterate Earth were drafted centuries ago. Eradicating humanity in one fell swoop might still be possible. We only needed to stall the landing party a little longer. What would happen to Noah and Sarah next? Well, an attempt would be made to capture them for scientific study. If the task proved too difficult, a special ops team would be sent to dispatch them. A strange guilt tore my stomach at the thought of the humans tied up in a lab. It was a misguided sense of empathy, but they are predators. They survive by killing species lower on the totem pole. They literally eat flesh, I scolded myself. These humans slaughter each other, all the time anyways. Thanks for your hospitality, Governor. Sarah cleared her throat, locking eyes with me. I can tell our species will be great friends. One day. The mere sight of these creatures disgusted me. But what if we were wrong about them? Wasn't my intention to avoid bloodshed? Yes. Friends. I flicked my ears in agreement and tried to bury my conscience. I hope we will be. End of chapter. I would just quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and patrons. Casper Arnholtz, Maxwell, Parky, It's Difficult to Pronounce, Lord Azrakal, and Arcadian.